Hi, welcome. This is the first edition of the Noisy Golfer, the podcast brought to you by Noisy Golf. Jade and I set up the company in October last year, really wanting to speak to experts across the world to find out everything that we can about junior golf and to really amplify that message. And we are absolutely delighted to have Landon Holmes with us from the United States. How you doing, Laura? You okay?
Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. It's obviously come at a good time for us to be speaking with you because it sounds like that you're quite busy with what's going on. But for those of you who aren't aware of you on social media, if you could just give us an introduction about yourself, where you are, what you're doing, and then we can kick on the conversation from there.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Laura, as you said. I am a golf coach. I am a US Kids Golf Tour Director, and I am a mommy caddy as well. So I started playing golf myself when I was about 5, 6 years of age. I played junior golf all levels, played for my club, played for my province, played junior golf for Ireland, and then I went on to play college golf here in the States. After graduating from Old Dominion in Norfolk, Virginia, I got my first assistant golf professional job in Virginia Beach in the area. And at that point, I was kind of dabbling in everything golf related. And that's kind of when I realized that my love in the golf business really kind of steered towards coaching. And I still really had some interest in tournament operations as well. So what I ended up doing was I joined my sister at Michelle Home School of Golf. I joined her golf academy. I became a US Kids certified coach, started coaching with her full time. I then became a US Kids tour director. So I run a local tour in Virginia, and then I get to travel some as well and do US Kids state events, regional events. And actually where I am right now, I'm actually at the Longleaf US Kids Golf Academy down at Pinehurst at the moment. I'm here as the director for the girls 13-year-old Teen World Championships this week. So yes, with what I do, I have gotten to travel a lot, and I'm very fortunate.
Fantastic. So how's it going there so far? How's the weather been? How's the competition been? How would you summarize it so far?
So far it's fantastic. Today's the first practice round. So today's been a lot of boring stuff, printing scorecards, printing local rule sheets, kind of setting up the course and all that. The weather is fantastic. It's going to continue to be fantastic throughout the week, it looks like. There is a lot of great golfers here. So for the Teen World Championships, we've got golfers from all over the world, ranging between the age of 13 and 18 right now. So here at my golf course that I'm directing at, it's only the girls 13-year-old division. I rode the course probably 3 or 4 times today, and just to see the level of golf out there it's unbelievable to see it.
Fantastic.
You good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I thought you were going to say something.
No, it's fine. I actually want to touch back, if you don't mind. You've obviously come through the ranks with golf, from very, very young all the way through. How did you transition from being in Ireland to USA? How did that happen?
Oh my goodness. So, well, up playing junior golf, Michelle, my older sister, she was kind of one of the first girls playing junior golf in Ireland that ever actually came out to the States on a golf scholarship. I think there was only a couple of girls that actually did it before her. She's a little bit, about 5 years older than I am. So when she came out to play college golf in the States, I was 13 years old, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to follow her. I want to go over there. I want that opportunity to go play college golf in America. So for me, from the age of kind of 12, 13, up until when I graduated secondary school at home, that was just always what was going to happen. I was going to put myself out there. I was going to try and play college golf in the States. So by the time, I was 18 and it was time to get on that plane and fly 3,000 miles across the ocean, I was ready to go. I was ready for it. And plus I was going, Michelle had already moved to Norfolk, Virginia at that time, which is where it's a city that Old Dominion University is in, where I was going to school. So I actually moved in with her right when I came. So in all fairness, it wasn't that big. I did leave mommy and daddy, but I ended up living with my big sister as well at the same time. But I was ready to go. I mean, the transition itself, you're 18 years old, you're leaving home, you're going across to the ocean to another country. And, it was tough. You missed home or whatever else. But as far as jumping in and playing college golf, being on a golf, college team, you're basically handed your best friends or your teammates. You're given a community right there. You're traveling the country playing golf. When you're not in classes, you're doing social activities with the athletes, or you're at practice, or you're in the gym with your teammates. So you're kind of given, and you're really fortunate because you're kind of given a family, even though you've gone to this university by yourself. So for me, the transition from, coming from Ireland over to the States, I found it quite easy. I know it's not easy for everybody, and everybody's a little bit different, but I just absolutely loved it up. I loved every bit of it.
So again, just to finish up this little bit of the conversation, what were the expectations of you to get into college golf, to go out there? And you obviously had to meet some expectations. There was criteria for how good you had to be to do that. How did that go?
Yeah, so this is always an interesting one for me because what I've learned, I think, since I've become a coach is that there are many ways to play college golf. And when you hear that somebody's going to the United States, especially to play college golf, I think it gives us this idea that like this person must be the best. They must shoot low scores all the time. They have you think that they're setting the bar way, way, way up here. But in reality, since I've come to the States, I realized you can play a Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. And within all those divisions, you've got 150 different schools that are ranked at all sorts of different levels. So as far as the expectations go, I'll say what was expected of me. I thought, kind of my family thought this was expected of me, and I did all these things, and I tried to achieve all these things. And I was very fortunate that I got to go to a Division 1 school, that I got a full scholarship and whatever else. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's many, many, many ways to play college golf in America. And, what we kind of advise people is research some schools, find 3 schools that are, setting the bar really, really, really high, that you might really have to push yourself, you might really have to struggle for, and find 3 schools that you could walk in the door right now and play college golf immediately. Even as a 16-year-old, you would be competing at the team. And then find 3 kind of middle of the road schools that are kind of like, I'd have to push myself a little bit to get there, but I'm not going to be breaking the bank at the same time. And research those schools, and then find out what else they have to offer outside of golf. Where do they travel to for their tournaments? What other schools are they kind of competing against? And I think a lot more people can play college golf in America than we realize. I think the opportunities are there for more people, but people are afraid to take that jump and that step because they think that you just have to be the best of the best. You don't have to be winning the English Championship or the Irish Close Championship. You don't have to be winning those. You don't even have to be finished top 5 to potentially get a place in a college in the States. You'll have certain expectations, but it just depends kind of where you want to go or what you want to do. So, I know I'm making a short story long there, but for me, we kind of set the bar on things that I had to. I was going to a Division 1 school, and they weren't a highly ranked school at the time when I started. I chose a school that I would go to and not have to fight for my position on the team every week. I went somewhere that I was guaranteed to make the team. I knew I was going to be a number 1 or number 2 player because I said, if I'm going all the way to America to play college golf, I don't want to be fighting for a spot every week just to travel. I wanted to go somewhere I knew I could play. And the program did get better and better over the years, and they're now ranked top 50 in the nation. But there's many ways to do it. So I don't like to give an answer as to what you have to do. I think, do some research and see what has to be done to get into different places. Talk to the coaches early. You'd be very, very, very surprised at what you can achieve, even at a lower level of golf, as far as coming to play college golf in the States.
Yeah, I think that's something that I'd like us to explore maybe a little bit further. Obviously not today, further down the line, and we can look at what options are there and how, kids from the UK, what their pathway is, and we can kind of put some bits together for parents regarding that as well. Get the information from the coaches here and what they know, and I think that'd be something that we could then touch on further.
I think so. We did a great Q&A on Instagram Live with Maggie Whitehead, who's she's absolutely fantastic, and we talked about the her journey and the possibility of college golf, and I think, like you say, it's arguably more accessible than what the perception is, and just the things that you've said there about you don't have to be a big hitter winning tournaments at this stage. There's actually more routes than you'd like to think. And again, just speaking with you about that, I feel like I've learned something already. But it's a conversation we can really delve into a lot more deeper, as we speak with yourself and other experts on that subject as well.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot more, like, my understanding of the recruiting process and all that. I mean, I'm just scraping the surface.
Sure.
You know, what from a coach's perspective, the bits that I have learned are to be able to turn around to these families who are putting a lot of pressure on themselves, and I'm able to say, hey, listen, let's relax here a second. Let's really look at what needs to be done. Let's look at what your kid's end goal is. I mean, if you've got a junior golfer, you know, a girl who's 15 years old and she wants to play college golf, but she also wants to be getting a law degree at the end of the day, we really have to think of where we're getting a scholarship, or where we're going to play college golf, because if you're going to play at a high performance school, you're not going to have time to study for your law degree.
Okay.
So you've got, you know, there's so many ways that you can do it, and you can encompass everything. You can let your kid be the academic person that they want to be, the social person that they want to be. If they want to join a sorority, if they want to join a fraternity, like, you can do it all. You don't have to sacrifice everything just to play college golf. And I think, and it depends what your goals are. I mean, if your goal is to play on the LPGA Tour, the PGA Tour, at the end of the day, yeah, maybe you are sacrificing some stuff. But that's why we have to speak to the families and talk about what's your journey about? Like, where are you trying to get to at the end of the day? Because there's many ways to do this.
Absolutely. I think it sounds like there's just so many different things that we can talk about on that. So yeah, I think we'll certainly schedule that for another time. And obviously it's great that we're in contact with you already, and you know, in order to share that little piece of insight. One of the things that we wanted to focus this initial podcast around was the relationships between not necessarily just parents, but adults and junior golfers, and the sort of the caddy player relationship.
I think what you've just said then, from a parent point of view, when they're looking at colleges and things like that as well, you know, the parents are under that pressure, and I think sometimes the parents can absorb that pressure of being a caddy for their own child. You know, they'll look at this junior and they're like, oh, they've got to be doing this and they've got to be doing this, and they're putting the pressure that they're then feeling onto that child. And you know, what we touched on briefly last week was the role of the caddy, you know, the role of the parent as a caddy, and you had some great insight and some great thoughts on that, and I would just like you to develop that a little bit further with us. You know, tell us what you've seen, tell us the good, the bad, and you know, the absolutely awesome as well. You know, you've already mentioned your own daughter's caddy, Dan, and you know how he is with her and things like that. So you know, tell us about the role of the parent as a caddy.
Well, to be honest with you, I think the parent is the most important role of anybody out there, because you know, even if the parent isn't caddying, the parent is the person driving the kid to the golf course. The parent is the person that they're driving home from the golf course with. The parent is the person that the kid is looking to when they're on the golf course. You know, if even if it isn't the parent that's caddying, you could have a coach caddy, you could have, you know, a relation caddy, and at the end of the day, the kid is looking to their parent for approval, and as the parent is even standing on the sidelines. So I really think the parent's role is bigger than anybody else when they're out there. I mean, we have to be our child's biggest teammate, even if we're not out there walking the fairways with them. And the thing is, you know, you can often look at it, if you were out playing in a best ball tournament, if you're playing in something with a friend of yours, and your partner gets up there and hits a bad shot, you don't start reaming them right away and start, how could you miss that, or how could you miss that? But we don't do that, do we? Why would we do it to our children? Yeah. So, you know, when we're out there, we really have to be extremely careful about how we speak to them. We have to be very careful about how we react to them. And I'll often say, even sometimes not reacting at all is enough of a reaction for the kids. Our children know us better than anybody else. I mean, our children are literally miniature versions of us. They copy us. They see everything we do. And, you know, and so even when you don't react, and I've had that conversation with parents where they'll say, well, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything that time. And I'm like, you didn't have to say anything, because I was 70 yards away and I could see your face. So, you know, and if the little girl is standing right next to them looking up into daddy's face for approval after missing a 1 foot putt for birdie on the second hole, then the child felt that as well.
Yeah.
You know, and so as far as the most important role, you know, a parent plays, is just being that teammate. It's being the person that's there for the kid when things are good and when things are not so good. And it's teaching the kid that there are up and down days. It's teaching the kid that, you know, honestly, and I always say this about Katie, sometimes I think it's a bit of her innocence. You know, Katie's only 6 years old. She's playing the World Championships next week. She's very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of really good people in the golf world. And I don't just mean, you know, her Auntie Michelle, her Uncle Dan, and Scott, one of her other coaches at Michelle Home School of Golf, they work with her. She's very fortunate for that. And, you know, my husband does a great job even, you know, keeping his mouth shut when he's out there. He's learned, God knows, he knows not to say anything when he's out there as well, because he's learned from us. But even the community of players in our area and the other kids that are playing, the US Kids local tour with us, because we are always talking about this, and we're always encouraging the parents, and we're always trying to create these good situations. I think Katie's been very fortunate that she's kind of grown up almost on the golf course in this little bubble of this is just fun and this is great, and we're competing and we're playing in state championships and regional events, and now she's going to play the world championships next week, and it's still just purely fun and entertainment.
Yeah.
And she's very fortunate for that. And I think part of it is it's an innocence, in a way.
Yeah.
Like Katie's coming to play the world championships next week, and to be honest with you, I don't think she, other than the fact that she's obsessed with Pinehurst and she knows the world championships is happening in Pinehurst, she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand that there's only 100 girls, 7 and under girls in the world that are going to be here next week, and she happens to be one of them. She doesn't get that. We don't really tell her that. We don't talk about that. She just knows she's going to play another US Kids event, and it happens to be the World Championships, and it happens to be in her favorite place in the world, which is Pinehurst. So it's just there's the beauty and the innocence, and it's our job as the parents to keep that innocence with them as long as possible. The minute we take that away from them, things change. You can see it. You can see it in their face. You can see it in their demeanor. Things change at that point. And the way they play the game then changes. Fear starts to come into play. Doubt starts to come into play. All sorts of negative things start to come into play for the child. And, think about yourself even as an adult. Anything you do, whether it's playing golf, whether it's in your job, when you have fear, when you have doubt in what you're doing, even in everyday life, whether it's a significant purchase you're making for your family, you know how anxious you get, the anxiety you feel. Imagine doing that to a child. So again, we have to step up and be that person that's there to protect their innocence, that, creating the drive in a positive way, creating the want to win and learn and play, but doing it in the right way, doing it in a positive way.
Yeah, I think that one of the just a couple of things that I wanted to sort of tag on to what you just mentioned there, because first and foremost, I just wanted to give a shout out to Evie Carter that runs the US Kids Tour in the UK. These were Isaac's first competitions that we entered this year, and he's got a couple more lined up. And I'll be honest, it was I introduced him to golf. I've spent much of my time with him, and I don't coach him. In essence, the way I see my role at the moment is just to sustain the enjoyment that he gets when he hits a great shot, and he's doing that more often than not as we develop, which is great, a great feeling as a dad. But I followed golf for years as well, but I felt a very different appreciation of the role of a caddy when I first went into those tournaments, and I think back to. The second tournament in particular we played, I think it was Nottingham Country Club, and he played a fantastic drive, as did the other two boys. And then there was a little ravine just before the first green. And even though he played 2 great approach shots to get to there, he hit the ball in the water. He dropped, he hit the ball in the water, he hit the ball in the water. And I could see it sat from him. And I think that for me, that was the first real challenge that I had, just to try and get his head back together. Because the next hole was equally we went through the same thing. There was about, I think it was about a 90-yard par 3 he had to hit over water, and by that point he was more worried about losing balls than anything else. I think that was probably his major worry was, oh my god, I've lost another ball, Dad, how many have we got in the bag? I was getting worried at that point, but I was trying to keep a bit of a I was like a duck, a duck personified. There was all flustering underneath, but it was crazy. But what I wanted to find out is that there's 2 angles really, because there are some events in the UK where even children as young as 7, 8 years old, they're not allowed a caddy, whereas the US Kids Tour events, obviously they are allowed a caddy. And we just wanted to get your view really on, at that age, where do you feel the balance should be between promoting self-sufficiency for a child and also being the sort of the supporting arm of a child, actually on the course as well?
I obviously follow along with a lot of what US Kids Golf do, and I'm a massive supporter of what US Kids Golf do. I think the role of caddy is very, very, very important, and I think it is important for a child, especially as young as 7, in my opinion. Even 8. I mean, 9 and up, that's where kind of US Kids go, okay, you can be out there now at this point without a caddy. I think it is important in those younger divisions to have a caddy, but I will also say, if the caddy is doing their job right, if the caddy is doing and saying the right things,
Yeah.
because your child is as well to be out there by themselves at the age 7 and figuring it out by themselves, even if there's a lot of mistakes made along the way. They're as well to be out there by themselves than have a caddy out there with them that's not able to help and guide and control the emotions out there. So, you know, I guess I've got a mixed, you know, answer on that. I do think that at that age, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, I do think that caddies should be out there, but I think the caddies need to be very, very careful about being out there, you know. We don't expect the caddies, especially the non-golfers, we don't expect you to be a tour caddy. You know, you're not trained to do this, and that's what makes it that little bit harder. But at the end of the day, we just want you to go out there and push the bag or carry the bag or whatever it is, and just smile and keep them happy and encourage and let them make decisions and let them fail and let them succeed and let them have all these experiences out there, just kind of let it happen. And your only goal is to just kind of stand by them as they do it. And as long as you're doing that, I say absolutely, yes, absolutely, 100%. We should have caddies out there at that age. Yeah. If we're not doing that, I worry that we are actually hurting the child more in the long run, because we're teaching them. I mean, think about what you teach a child at that age. That stays with them for life. Like the kids at that age, they hang on to every word their parents say. I mean, by the time they're 10, 11, 12, 13, they kind of have a bit of an attitude, and they only listen to half of what a parent says anyway. But at those little kids, I mean, they're hanging on every word their parents say. They really want and believe in your trust and your love. So if you're not able to provide the right environment for them out there, you probably should just step back and let them do it by themselves, or get somebody else to do it, whether it's a friend or a relation or whatever, whoever else it might be, and own up to that. Be able to say, listen, I just can't do it out there. I'm, you know, for whatever reason, my mentality doesn't work with being a caddy. So, and if we own up to that as the caddy, again, we're a parent, that's an important job for us to do, is admit this stuff. And then ask somebody else to do it. You know, it can even be a non-golfer, because at the end of the day, what's their job? Their job is to show up, push the bag, smile, and encourage. That's it. You don't need a golfer to do that. You can have anyone. You can have your neighbor do it. Yeah. So, you know, to answer your question there, I think it is really important for a kid to have a caddy at that age if the caddy is able to do the right thing.
Just to sort of answer the second part of that question then, because this is quite interesting where we're at with the conversation now, is what do you, I suppose it's two parts to this question, is do you feel there's enough out there, enough information out there to educate parents on how to be the best caddy? And whatever your answer is, what can be done to continue to provide, you know, we're trying to help steer that conversation, you know, we're speaking with people like yourself, because, you know, we do feel like there's, again, as parents, we're learning, we're going through that journey ourselves. And Leo is 20 months, I'm sure we'll go through that with him, as he's loving his golf at the moment. But yeah, what information do you feel could be out there to really support parents in that respect, especially when they've got no or limited experience in golf themselves as well?
Sure. Well, one of the things that US Kids uses is the Positive Coaching Alliance. The Positive Coaching Alliance. Have you seen that by any chance?
We haven't. No.
Okay, so if you go onto the US Kids website, you will see that, and it's something that actually all of us as tour directors and US Kids certified coaches, you all have to do it. And it's called the Positive Coaching Alliance, and it's not just geared for coaches, though it is geared for the parent caddy as well. And that is accessible to you on the US Kids website. I think there is a charge to do the program, but it's well worth looking into. US Kids are quite strict on how their caddies, the code of conduct, and how they are on the golf course. So if we have situations where caddies have gotten warnings, or caddies have maybe been taken off the bag for inappropriate behavior, they cannot get back on until they've gone through the Positive Coaching Alliance seminars.
Wow.
And so that's one of the things. And again, that's one of the reasons we love US Kids Golf and what they do, is because they're there for the kid at the end.
Really positive, though.
Oh, yeah.
At least there's somebody out there that's looking out for that kid. You know,
we're looking out for
what's going on behind the scenes, but on that day, somebody's actually seeing what's happening and
100%
they can take action. So yeah, that's a really
100%. It's actually in the local the US Kids Golf hard card, which is basically, it's all the rules and regulations and everything to do with US Kids Golf tournaments, and it's in there, the code of conduct policy, and what happens to a parent caddy if or any caddy should the code of conduct be breached. and it kind of gives you a guide on what they expect as far as code of conduct. So, but the Positive Coaching Alliance, it's a really good start. I would suggest any parent caddy to do it. As far as, I have to mention my sister Michelle. If you follow Michelle's social media, her Instagram page, Michelle Holmes School of Golf, I mean, you will get so much information on how to positively be a good parent and a good parent caddy. She's always posting stuff about that. And to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that I have learned has come from her. For myself being a coach as well at Michelle Holmes School of Golf, I preached this stuff for so long. And then when my own child started playing golf and started competing in tournaments, I went, oh, this is real. Like, this is not just preaching to somebody else on how to do their job as a parent. I'm now out there and I have to practice what I preach, and I have to show that this is the right way to do it. But most of what I learned honestly came from her and what she shares and her thoughts. And, some other things that I think then that we can do as a community. I think that golf professionals, golf coaches, especially junior coaches, I do think that there could be more out there. It's just as important as coaching a child to play golf as coaching the parent on how to be
100%.
a good parent caddy. And whether that's setting up caddy seminars, caddy talks, caddy lessons. We've often had families from our from Michelle Holmes School of Golf that we've walked 2, 3, 4 holes with the parent caddy, and we're helping them and teaching them about the things to say, the things to do, how to react. And sometimes the kid is out there, sometimes the kid's not even out there at all. And I think it's really important for golf schools, if you want to be a really good junior golf coach and a really good junior golf school, you have to incorporate that relationship with the parents as well. It's just as important as the kid being able to play golf. Because again, at the end of the day, I'll go back to it. If the kid doesn't have a love of the game, if the kid isn't enjoying what they're doing out there because of a parent that's behind the scenes, then they're going to quit anyway. So if you've got this, if you're a junior golf academy, you've got all these good kids out there, but you've got 1,000 parents behind the scenes that aren't playing their part and doing what they're supposed to be doing, then those kids aren't going to go anywhere at the end of the day anyway. They're just going to end up falling out because they're not enjoying what they're doing. So if you can also take the parents and guide and teach them, then you're keeping those kids in the game for life. And you're getting more kids because now the parent knows how to be a good parent caddy out there, or just a parent spectator out there. They're bringing the next generation of golfer up. And the possibilities are endless then at that point, So I think as a whole, the junior golf community, I think we could steer more to the parent caddy and just having more information accessible to the parents on how to be a good teammate for their kids. But I think that comes with, classes, clinics, not being a step out of your comfort zone. I know it's the first time you do a parent caddy class might seem strange that you've got 5 dads standing in front of you that all maybe have attitudes when they're out in the golf course with their 7-year-olds, and you're the one that's standing there trying to tell them to calm down a little bit. Let's just have fun. Let's, but you've got to step out of your comfort zone and do it, because you're doing it for the kids at the end of the day, not for the parents. You're doing it for the kids,
I think just coming back to what you were saying about Michelle and kind of what you've learned from Michelle, you actually shared a quote with us last week, and it was, "It's easy to be a good caddy on the good days. It's even more important to be a good caddy on the bad days." And that's just really lovely. And I think that kind of sums up, what Michelle puts out there, the values of the Michelle Holmes School of Golf and things. And it was just a really lovely quote that you shared.
Yeah, it is. It's really important. And we see that all the time. I spent all those years coaching, and then I became a US Kids Tour director. So I was looking at it from a coach's point of view. Then I was looking at it from the director's point of view. And then I got really close knit when Katie started playing, and I was actually, because as a director, you're driving the golf course, so you're hopping from hole to hole, you're seeing lots of different things, so you can miss a lot of stuff at that point. But being out there with my own daughter out there as a spectator and watching how the parents and the caddies interact with the kids for straight 9 holes, you see a lot and you learn a lot. And it is when your kid's having a good day, it is easy to be laughing and smiling and jumping up and down and have high fives and everything else, but going so good, that's when you kind of really have to step up to the plate. And a lot of that depends on the junior you're working with, or you're talking about. Do they understand that they're having a bad day? What is their kind of drive like? What is the expectations of the child? That plays a big part in it. One of the things I always laugh about with Katie is so innocent on the golf course, it's almost comical. I truly do not think that Katie doesn't think that there's such thing as a bad shot in golf. Katie hits a golf ball and she goes against it, she hits it again. She has never, I don't think she's ever reacted
Leo,
to
isn't
anything.
it?
Yeah,
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 right. And I think it's so important to protect that innocence. And it's,
yeah.
you know, she genuinely hasn't any idea. And some days I'm like, geez, I wish there's a bit more drive there that she would actually, you know, be able to comprehend this. But at the end of the day, when she misses a putt or when she tops a drive off the tee a couple of feet, I mean, she missed the ball one day at the first tee shot. I mean, she hasn't missed a golf ball in I don't know how long, but it was a tee shot at a US Kids event on the first hole, and they announced her on the tee, and she swung and she missed it. And she looked at Dan and she goes, "What do I do now?" Like she hadn't you know, and Dan was like, "Well, you better swing again." And I'm pretty sure she asked him if it counted as a shot. And he's like, "No," and you know, went along, but it did count as a shot. And he, you know, obviously added that to the scorecard or whatever else. But you know, she doesn't need to know that now. But you know, I think there's a beauty in that innocence.
Yeah.
And you know, when we go back again to that quote, and it's even more important to be that really good caddy or parent or spectator on the bad days, because that's the day they need you. That's when they need. They're already bad, you know. Especially if they, again, it goes back. Do they understand? If they understand that they're having a bad day, they need you then. They need mommy to come up and give them a hug. They need the dad to give them a high five. Like they need this stuff. And if you're not providing that, you're only hurting them further. So, and it's sometimes like I kind of, you know, when I talk about this out loud, even when I, you know, those comments that we were going back and forth on Facebook, and I'm writing this out. And I think at one point I said, isn't it a ridiculous concept to think that we as parents could be mad at our children for trying their best? Like, isn't that ridiculous to say out loud? I mean, we're having this conversation here as parents. I'd take away me being a coach or a director, just as a parent. Why would I be mad at my child for anything?
Yeah.
That's their, you know, they're trying their best for. That's not a behavior issue. It's literally just something happened, something went wrong. It is what it is. Let's get on with it. But it happens out there, and we have to be so careful about that. And we have to work towards that. And like you're saying there about the different resources, like the parent has to put themselves out. The parent has to step back and really own up to how they are as a parent caddy. You know, I think when a parent can step back, and we've had parents on our local tour, I've had friends of mine that have gone, listen, I know I can get a little bit touchy out there, or I'm really trying to do a better job of not reacting in a certain way. And I'm like, that's fantastic. You know, I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't be on your kid's bag while you're learning, you know, going through this. If you can own up and say, hey, listen, I know I don't do a great job of this. What can I do? You're already halfway there at that point. You want to do what's right for your kid at that stage. And just keep battling through it. Keep doing it.
Yeah, I think as you're talking, and I think that I'm sure you've seen it, the Short Game documentary.
Yes.
And it was very interesting. Obviously, you've got parents and children from literally all over the world, and I think it was very interesting to see the dynamic in the approach based from a cultural standpoint. In terms of how they naturally offered it. There was a lot of pressure put on a lot of kids, but there was others where I think I remember where there was a French kid who missed the putt, and he was in a bit of an awkward interaction with his mother. And I think, I suppose, what often a lot of parents and even children can forget is golf is a very, very hard sport. You know, and I think there's the technical intricacies on every single shot that you play. I mean, you know, statistically, you're going to hit the bad one now and again. You know, it's a game that nobody's mastered.
Right.
No, of course. But you know, and I think that as a parent, I think that again, thinking about some of the advice that we've seen from some of the great Q&As that we've done with coaches since we launched Noisy Golf in October, I think that it's actually genuinely changed my perception in terms of you know, what my role is. And I think the thing is, a lot of it can stem from when you see kids at a driving range and a stranger will walk by. Isaac will hit a good one, for instance, and be like, oh, he's the next Tiger Woods. But what they don't realize is that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of these kids doing this all of the time, you know. And I think that I've taken my approach now in terms of how we've got a couple of tournaments coming up soon, and I see myself as sort of like it's almost like an enjoyment officer. You know, I'm going to go there, I'm going to carry the bag, and I hope he plays his best shot every single time. But if he doesn't, well, I've had a great day's golf. And I think that's my view on it now, because at first, when you do see that your kid's got a little bit of talent and that they're enjoying it at the same time, don't get me wrong, there's times when I've thought, wow, if he can really develop and focus and stuff. But then I think he's just turned 8. You know, and he's a kid. And I think that's when I was that age, and I would have been exactly the same. I might have not even realised that I was doing things right or whatever. I was just doing it. I was very instinctive. So it's interesting what you say about Katie there, in the respect that she just feels like she's rocking up to another golf tournament. She's going to hit some more balls. She's going to make some friends along the way and just have a great day, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's
a great way to look at things.
And it's funny because, you know, it's funny because Katie has an Instagram page, Katie Golf. Have you seen her Instagram page?
Oh, we love it. Yeah.
Okay.
She's fab.
So, and Michelle puts a lot of her stuff on there and what she's doing. And the big thing for the Katie Golf page is to be able to show it to Katie one day, really, and to have documented all this stuff. But when we go to these events like this, a lot of people who would just have followed her page, they'll be walking up to her like, "Oh, there's Katie Golf," you know, whatever. And she's looking at them like,
"What's famous?"
She has no idea. She's 6 years old and she hasn't a clue. And you know, I hope to keep that innocence for a really, really, really long time, because it seems to, you know, it works for her. That's her personality, you know. That innocence does work for her. And then there's other kids in her age division that, you know, they're not as innocent. They understand what's going on. They know when they bogey a hole that they're one over par now or whatever it might be. And they know, you know, they know what scores they're shooting throughout the round. And that's okay as well, as long as their personalities fit that, and as long as the caddy can help control that as well. You know, because you do, you know, every child is different. Every child is completely different out there. And I'm not saying that, you know, that every child is supposed to be like Katie and have Katie's approach. That's just what works for her personality. That's how we are with her. It's not for every child. You can have the kid that is more competitive and has more fire and more of a drive with them, and when it comes to it. But we still, in fact, it's probably even more important to be a better caddy at that point, because your kids know what's going on. You know what I mean? So Katie's making it easy for us so far, I think. We'll see how long the innocence lasts.
And how about Jack?
Oh, Jack, my little Jack. He's as cute as can be. He loves it. He loves golf. And so he's eligible to start playing US Kids Golf Tour this fall. We'll see if he's going to do it. His personality is totally different to Katie. He's the complete opposite. So he knows, he gets what's going on. He would definitely be one that kind of will be, you know, throwing a bit of a temper tantrum if things don't reach. Yeah. But I think what has happened is it's come from him. Like, he's out at every tour. He's not going to come to Worlds next week, but he comes to every single golf tournament that Katie plays in, and he rides around the golf cart. He watches her play, and he's been doing that since he was 2 years old. Like, he doesn't remember a time when he didn't do that. So I think he's just always been around golf and watching golf and whatever else. So, you know, he gets it, even though he's only 4, you know.
Well, we're aware that you've got to get back to them as well. So what I just want to do is I just want to recap. I'm looking over to my other screen at the moment. I just want to recap on it was kind of 6 points, 6 takeaways, if you like, from our initial conversation that we had on Facebook. And obviously, like you said at the start, it was, you know, as a parent caddy, you are their number one teammate, and I think that kind of starts it all off. You also said that your role is to give positive encouragement on the journey to and from golf, and whilst walking the fairway, and your role is not to react, you know. The other point was that you should stand back and keep smiling no matter the result. If you smile and say forget it after a miss hit, you take the putter and, you know, you smile, you carry on walking after the missed putt. Your conversation should include how proud you are, how much you love your child. There should be lots of smiles and thumbs up throughout the experience. And ultimately, you are positively engaging your child to be to play. I'll start again. You're positively engaging your child to emotionally play the game on their own, to be self-sufficient. But just to touch on that one quickly, what you said was, you know, 7, 8, they need that parent caddy, kind of 9+. They are hopefully a little bit more self-sufficient, you know, they know what they're doing. What would you expect at that age, where their parent caddy is backing off and they're playing on their own? You know, what's their expectation? Ultimately, that's where we want to get them to. So
do you mean for the child there or for the caddy parent?
For the child first. Well, for both, but for the child first. I mean, what's the aim there?
So, you know, from 9 years and up here, or for US Kids events, they do say that they can be out there without a caddy. And I see some that's out there without a caddy, and the ones I see that are out there without a caddy are the ones who are emotionally stable out there. They're the ones who can carry themselves on the golf course, and they can select their own clubs, they can step off their own yardages, they can hit good shots and bad shots and accept both. The ones I see that are out there without the caddies, with their caddies, it doesn't mean that they're emotionally unstable or anything. what I would say is maybe they just aren't quite yet ready to have the parent off the bag for yardage reasons, for club selection reasons, for strength reasons, for physical reasons. So, you know, the expectation, it can't only, while it's a major part of it, the emotional side of it, and being able to mentally be out there by yourself, it's not the only factor either. You know, if your kid can't physically play 9 holes pushing their own push cart, you need to be out there pushing the push cart. But that's all you're out there for. If that's literally the only bit he needs help with, you push the bag and you be quiet. That's it.
Yeah.
If your kid's out there, if you're out there with your kid and the reason you're out there is for yardage reasons, to step off yardages because they maybe struggle with that, maybe they struggle with club selection, but they have no problem pushing their own bag and there's no problem with their mental game, then let them push their bag. You walk the fairway beside them. Let them, you know, do everything mental game wise. Let them take care of that themselves, and then you can help guide them through the club selection process, the yardage process, or the green reading process, whatever it might be. So, you know, don't let yourself be a crutch for your kid always. You're all, you know, as they check off things that they're capable of doing by themselves, then let them do that when they're out there. Like I often see here the caddies, they let the kids read the greens themselves. Like they're learning that from a very, very young age now. So when the caddy gets to the green, they don't even step up there anymore. They might go in and take the flag out and walk off to the side, but you'll see the dad standing, or the parents standing off to the side, the caddies, and the kids are all up there reading the greens and putting themselves. Whereas that kid may need the dad or mom to be there just to push the bag because physically they can't get around the golf course. So what I'm saying there is, you know, figure out what your kid needs from a caddy. Do not be a crutch for them. You're always trying to help them learn and grow. And when they get to that stage, you know, you're trying to check off some boxes and go, okay, Johnny, you're well able to do this yourself. So you're going to make all your club selections today. Even if you hear them make the wrong choice, let them choose it, let them make the mistake, and then have a teachable moment afterwards. Because that's the stuff that they'll remember. Like they take ownership of that, and they'll remember a lot more, and they'll learn a lot more if we kind of let them do that as well. And then gradually transition yourself off of the bag completely. And by the time then they're 12, 13, I mean, to be honest with you, you know, we're down here at World. It's hot. It's the middle of the summer. These are hilly golf courses. A lot of these, you know, the kids, they're teenagers. A lot of them do have their caddies out there, but it's simply someone to push the bag. Or carry the bag. That's all it is. These kids at this stage they're making 95% of all selections themselves. They're you know, talking to themselves after a miss hit or a good shot. They're taking care of that themselves. And we should be starting that process from the age of 9, I think. And kind of, you know, getting your kids used to all the little bits along the way and doing it themselves. Whether, you know, and even at a young age, I find too, like with that 7, 8, 9-year-old, is things like simple stuff, teeing up the golf ball themselves. Like make sure that they can do that by the time, you know, I'll still see sometimes a 10-year-old out there and the caddy still teeing up the golf ball at that stage. That was totally fine at 5, 6, 7, even 8, if there's a stability issue, if there's, you know, if the kid just can't do it. But by the time we get that kid to 10 years of age, he's got to be able to tee up a golf ball by himself. So there's a lot of like things and jobs that we have to do as a parent caddy, and we have to just make sure, you know, as part of our job, that the kid is able to do all these things themselves.
Lost you for a second there, Laura. 1 second.
You're not out there.
Oh, Laura, sorry about that. We lost you in the last 10, 15 seconds. It sounds like you were wrapping up a really nice point as well. Sorry. Sorry to burden you. Could you just give us that last point?
I was on another rant, is it?
Yeah. No. It was just after when you were talking about the kid being able to tee the ball up, and we sort of lost the signal a bit.
Yeah, no, I think what I was just saying there was, you know, there's so many things that we have to teach them as a parent, caddy, and a coach. And we cannot take the small things for granted. So we need to, even if it's something as simple as marking a golf ball, teeing up the golf ball, repairing a divot, raking a bunker, like we've got to teach them all those things. And as you're going along and you realize now your kid's 8 and you know what, he can mark the golf ball himself and tee it himself, and he can repair his divots himself. Let him do those 3 things every single time by himself. And then you're continue to transition all the way through until they're capable of being out there themselves all the time. Because if us as the caddy, if we constantly always do those things for them, by the time they're 13, 14, and they're not allowed to have a caddy anymore, and they're going into play, whether it's high school golf or secondary school golf or whatever it might be, interprovincial golf, and now we're not out there anymore, how can they carry themselves in the golf course? They're going to be so worried about how they tee up their golf ball and mark the golf ball, they're not going to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, obviously, what you said. And what we found is Isaac's obviously just turned 8, and kind of off the golf course, I'm still of the mindset, oh, I'll just do it for him because it's easier. This is at home, you know, it could be doing while we're out and about. It's just easier, I'll just help him, I'll just do it for him. And Paul keeps saying to me, no, he's 8 now, he's got to learn to do it himself, he can do it himself. So I don't think it just applies to the golf course. You know, sometimes as a parent, you do kind of jump in and do just because it's easier, it's quicker, you know that it'll be done right. But it's important that, you know, with all things, being a parent caddy, you do kind of let off, you see what they can do, and you allow them to kind of move forward and experience those things themselves as well. So
it's the same in our house. I'm the same. I'm always saying, no, they need to learn it themselves, whatever it might be. And my husband's a little bit more he says the same thing. Well, it's easier if we just do it, but it's very like being a parent caddy, or you know, just even a parent spectator or a parent teammate. It's just like life. I mean, whether your kids doing their homework or whatever else, I know it's easy to get frustrated, and you know, I'm by no means a perfect parent. I've gotten frustrated many times myself, but it's about managing that frustration and understand when you've made the mistake, and tell them you've made the mistake and own up to that. Say, hey, listen, buddy, I got really annoyed there earlier on. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. And it goes for every part of life, like whether it's them learning to do something new, whether it's school homework, whether it's the chores they were supposed to be doing around the house, whether it's on the golf course. I mean, they're not doing, you know, within reason, they're not doing anything intentionally to do things incorrectly or wrong. Within reason, I'll say. We can have a bit of that. It's just like life lessons.
I can think back to Sunday where I took Isaac and met some new friends that we've got to know through Instagram. We played a 9-holer there where Isaac will be playing in the Tommy Fleetwood tour in a couple of weeks. And I completely misclubbed, and he went straight over the green into the water, and it was on me, totally on me. He's turned around as if to say, "What happened there, Dad?" And I put my hands up and said, you know, but at least we've done it before the competition. I know exactly what club to give him next time.
Yeah, you do. You won't do that again.
And we did have a bit of a laugh and a joke of it, but I think that generally, especially with the way the holes are laid out, it's either a 3-wood or a driver. But this one was a particularly tricky one. It was short. I didn't know whether it was short or it was long. I've given him a 7-iron, and he's just flown it right over.
I'm sure if you saw it failing, you were going, "Oh no!"
Oh, as soon as he hit it, you just knew it was a.
The fact that he turned around to you, though, you know, it was kind of like, no, it's definitely on you.
But I think the thing is, what was interesting is that he was able to laugh that off, and I think that's again, I feel like I'm still developing that relationship with him on the course as a caddy, because it is, you know, it is a very unique environment in that respect. But I think essentially, just to sort of summarize what a lot of amazing points that you've made is that it's essentially finding that balance between the supporting arm, but also trying to gear them towards independent playing and self-sufficiency.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, golf is a lonely sport. You're out there by yourself, and you know, you only have a caddy, you know, there's 2 times in your life you have a caddy. You have a caddy as a junior golfer when you're first learning the game, and then you have a caddy when you're an absolute expert yourself. So what happens in between? Like, you're either a professional tour player making millions, and now you give me a caddy. Now you give me somebody to help me, or when I first just started playing the game. So especially if we're on that end where you're first starting playing the game, like, think of how important your role is to guide them to whether it's playing that provincial golf, high school golf, college golf. Like, they're on their own all the way through that. And they have to be able to do it, and that's part of your role as a coach or your role as a parent, is to help guide them through that. So being the right parent caddy, it's extremely important. I mean, it's you know, being that support system for them. It is the most important role in your child's golfing journey. As the parent, you are the one that's going to decide where this goes or where it doesn't go. If it comes to that.
I think you know, like, what's interesting, and I think we've learned this quite a lot, is that it's almost that there's an assumption that there's one role in golf, and that you're either a player or you're not, or maybe part of the coach. But I think that as we've come to learn, is that there's so many opportunities that golf as an industry presents for children, and I think the ability to get them interested in something like that so early, whichever path they decide to take. I mean, look, it comes down to numbers and talent essentially. Not every, you know, the percent, like with any sport, to get to the top level, the percentage and the chance of them making it to the, you know, to the top level and earning the millions is extremely slim. But at least it can open doors to, like you say, to a college education, to university education, but fundamentally being able to, I think it grows confidence, doesn't it? You're interacting with other people, you're making new friends. It's a very unique setting, a golf course anyway.
It's the community, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all of those different roles within that golf community as well that they can move into. And it's kind of like you said, you know, those kind of like friends for life, that community that you've got already built around you.
For sure. And even, you know, you think long-term jobs, or even the fact that you can literally go anywhere in the world at any age in your life and find a golf course and play. Not many sports that you can say that about. And you know, that's one of the things with our mission at Michelle Holmes School of Golf, is to create experiences that encourage kids to play the game forever. And you know, we don't care what you want to play golf for, or what your level of golf is going to be, or what you want your journey to be along the way. We're there to help grow the experience so that you just want to do it forever, whether it's you want to be a tour player, or you want to be, you know, a college player, or you just want to be active. You want to play it because you're thinking down the road. It's a really smart thing to do for business. Like, it doesn't matter. You might be doing it for exercise. You might be doing it for extracurricular activity as your side sport because you're a highly competitive soccer player, and your parents are putting you out there to play golf. And you know, again, the coaches and the parents, we all have to be on the same page as it comes to that. We have to put them in the right programs. We have to pair them up with the right people and coaches to achieve that experience at the end of the day. And if we do it right, you've got a player in the game for life, no matter what the level is, you know?
Absolutely. I think unless there's anything else at this stage, I feel like we've covered so much already.
No, not at all.
I could go on forever about this.
You know what though? It's given us that information. It, you know, as parents and obviously the people that are following Noisy Golf as well, it's putting that information out there to say, you know, this is where you can find this is how you should be, and this is coming from us, this is coming from you, you're the professional here. And you know, we think that's really important to get out there. So no, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Laura. Thank you
guys for doing it. I think this is so important. One of the things you said at first was, you know, just that parents just don't know, and a lot of parents do want to know, but there just maybe isn't information out there. So I really appreciate you guys doing this, and you know, having these conversations, because sometimes they're difficult conversations to have, and it is a matter of then the parents sitting back and going, maybe I'm not doing this the right way. So I really appreciate you guys doing this just for the golf community in general. And also, we love Noisy Golf. Katie and Jack, absolutely. They're fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I mean, we're getting there. You know, it's been a journey, I think, you know, since we came up with the idea in June last year. But I think that, you know, from our perspective, it was really, you know, we just feel like it's important to be that voice to a community that we know is enjoying their golf so much. And you know, if we can contribute to that by in any percentage way or form on any subject, and it increases the enjoyment of just one kid, then you know, then that's great from our perspective. So thank you so much as well. I really appreciate it.
We are fans.
I think just to wrap it up then, I think what would be really good, and we'll for those of you watching, if there are any questions that you do have after this and there's a follow-on, then feel free to type them in the comments box across our multiple channels on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. But it would be really great if we can share that link that you referred to at all in terms of developing the parent-caddy relationship.
We're going to put your top tips on as well, so they'll be coming. We'll tag you in all of those too.
The top tips will come on, and then as I say, this is our first feature of the Noisy Golfer, so it is you know, very much, we've got a few guests lined up, but I think you know, as a starting point, it's been a really insightful conversation to our viewers. I think we've certainly gained a lot from it personally, and we just hope that many more out there will too. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If there are any particular subjects that you do want to listen to or hear about, or any people that you want us to speak to, then feel free to let us know. We're open to that feedback, and we'll try and make that happen. Other than that, Laura, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
We'll be rooting for Katie throughout the next week during Pinehurst. So do let us know how she gets on. We can't wait to see her, you know, see some pictures and how she's getting on out on the course.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of pictures, you know that.
And we wish you every success with the event coming up, obviously with your time at Pinehurst over the next couple of weeks.
Well, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Take care, Laura.
Thanks a lot, Laura.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.